Hello. Today I wanted to come in and talk about my journaling section and how I use it, what it looks like, how it evolves over time. And the reason why I got this idea was simply that this morning, excuse me, well, I had a really weird dream that I wrote about, and I couldn't really drop it. I dreamt about something that was more relevant at the start of November and sort of earlier this month. And I've journaled a lot about this thing that was very emotional and very sort of confusing. And I thought I'd sort of left it behind and moved on. And now suddenly I have this dream that really drives this message home. Like, you are not over this, honey. So I journaled about that until I lighted on this phrase or term, word. Cat's toy, or cat toy as it turned out. Because I felt like a cat toy. You know how cats are not always interested in playing with you? Like you move the cat toy around to get their attention, and either they ignore you or they actually play with you. And they tend to lose interest if well, in my experience, when you're too close to them, when the toy is too visible, they're like, I don't care. But if you go behind a sofa and hide it, they're like, oh, okay, now we're talking, up the stakes. And I felt like my interaction with a person was like this, that, like erratic and just, I don't know, like I was a cat toy, and when I didn't show interest, they showed interest, and, just this weird back and forth and confusion. So I wrote a song about it because I really liked that word, that simile. Is it a simile? I don't know. But, well, that image of a cat toy. So that was kind of the essence of the lyrics. Long song, so 2.5 pages. And then I realized that not long ago I made another song, which is also in here, and it's kind of about the same thing. So apparently I need to create stuff to process them here. This was the other song I wrote, which I also put in the journaling section. But when I played this song for my husband, he said that you tend to do this weird thing where it's not immediately obvious what key the song is in, because you start somewhere and then it turns out that it was another key. So he told me to take a look at Total Eclipse of the Heart, because well, he thought I could learn stuff about composing. He's a musician, so he knows more about this stuff. He's educated in musical theory. So I listened to him. I'm just, a garden variety singer-songwriter. Not even that. I just sometimes sit at the piano and howl out something from the heart. But he said, take a look at this and these chords and the progressions to learn something about how you can make really intricate melodies and things that aren't, what's it called, when you know what's going to happen, predictable. So when I wrote this new song, I realized, oh wait, what if because I've only written the lyrics so far because I have a really busy day, so I haven't had the time to sit at the piano. But I did write the whole lyrics actually this morning before breakfast, so that's weird. But I thought, why don't I just steal these chords for a moment and use them for my new song, and maybe tweak some things, maybe, I mean, just for inspiration. And then I thought, where is it? Where is it? I was leafing back and forth, and oh, why don't I put a tab both here and here? So a tab for the lyrics and a tab for the chords, because this tab, the silvery one, is my music tab. So it also exists in my Someday Maybe section here. So here are some ideas for, well, music related stuff, like songs I or my husband might write, or things we should do that has to do with music. And I also have a list of things I want to listen to, like tips I've got from people. So I mean, these tabs, I mostly use them for project pages and like notes, but it can also be used in the journaling section if you actually, like for example, there can be other things in here that I haven't thought about, like ideas for these setups. For example, I journal a lot about my planner setup, and I constantly think of ways to evolve, to tweak the system, and I write about it in the mornings. So I should really be using the planner tab to mark those places so that I don't forget the good ideas I come up with in the mornings. So do I have any tabs? Yes, I have a couple here, just ready to go. So that's a tip. If you tend to come up with new ideas when you journal, why not mark those pages so you don't forget? I could also put a music tab on the page with the old song. Why didn't I do that? Good question. Why don't I do it now? If I have another one of the silver, yes, one, no, two more actually. Okay, so there. So apparently November is a musical month because, which is also kind of nice to see if, when you've filled in a book, when you archive it, if there's, you can actually see what you did a lot of during that month if you have tabs to signify. Because like last autumn, I think it was, I brainstormed a lot about my fantasy world, which meant that there are a lot of these tabs. This one, because that's to do with writing. So you can see, even though when the book is closed, you can see what you were up to during this period of your life, because the tabs stick out and reveal that, well, I was a lot into writing, and during November of 2021, apparently I was into music. Which isn't that far-fetched, since both Ghost and ABBA have come out with new music, and both of those bands are like important to me. And sort of funnily enough, it feels like now, because I'm nearing the end of my November book. I call it my November book, even though it started in October and will end before November is over. But anyway, the bulk of my journaling was made in November. But it really sort of tracks together with the October book that I am going to merge this with. I'm going to glue both of them together, so October and November in one book. It really tracks this development. That a lot of things have happened during October and November this year, and I've journaled about it and processed it and worked through it, and then, you know, in the middle of everything come these songs that deal with that processing. First this one, when I thought I left behind this event the first time, and then my husband's comments on the finished song and the chords and the melody, and this tip, and then, you know, skip a week and there's another song because I hadn't left it behind. Hey presto. I don't know, it's almost like a novel, like when you put everything that happens in your life into one book, it really tells a story. So, because I have two different, I think many people have like two, who like stationery and writing and notebooks and stuff. You have like one urge to have one notebook per theme, like per area in your life. Like, this is the book where I write song lyrics, this is the book where I journal, this is the book where I plan, this is the book where I write recipes. And that's, you know, is fine, and I always have that urge, but I have to fight it, because what happens is I start books, I start writing lyrics in a book, and then I abandon it. So I have all these half-filled notebooks that I never look in. But these setups, these monthly books where I have everything, like a bit like a bullet journal, or what bullet journaling has evolved to become in many, in the community. When everything is gathered, I actually find it easier to remember where things are, because I can remember when this happened, or, well, that depends, maybe not after 10 years, but instead of gathering things according to theme, you gather them according to time period in your life, which means that everything is connected. So the journaling, the gushing and the anguish or whatever is in the same place as the songs, in this case, that deal with said gushing and anguish, which makes sense from a completely different point of view. And also these portraits that I'm drawing also have to do with this period in my life, because this was the period when I started developing my drawing, because I attended this drawing course, and that in itself, I think, sort of jogged other parts of my brain and actually made me write these songs, because I'm sort of poking at the creative parts of my brain. So when I work on my drawings, I also am sort of inspired to also work on my music. And maybe writing. Right now, the writing is sort of non-existent. But maybe, maybe in a few weeks that will also join the ranks. So that's a lot of blathering about myself, but I guess that's sort of the point of these videos. The point is also that someone who watches can relate. So I guess the binding thread here is that there's a point to journaling very, eclectically, because you can see patterns in your life. They become very evident when everything is in the same place. You sort of learn things about yourself that you might not if you had all these things in different books, like songs here, journaling here, planning here, and sketching somewhere else. So I guess it creates this eclectic but held together somehow image of who you were at a specific point in time, and there's a value in that. And I know I'm far from the only person who has everything in one book. I mean, that's the whole point of the bullet journal thing. But it's just an example of how that plays out and what you get out of it afterwards. And also in the middle of the process, I think, because I'm not sure I mean, all this song business, I'm not sure I would have written this or thought to use these chords if I hadn't stored this in the book, so that there's everything is at my fingertips. It all connects, and isn't that lovely?